Cusp, from turbulence to triumph. Every single one of us has come here today with different levels or aspects of turbulence in our lives. And every single one of us has come here today with experiences of triumph. So let's make Cusp 2014 a journey from turbulence, confront it, embrace it, engage it, to triumph. One of the things I hate to hear most is, ladies and gentlemen, the captain has just turned on the fasten your seatbelt sign due to turbulence in the area. I hate to fly, okay? And that's one of the reasons. Turbulence makes me nervous. One of the things I'll be giving you as a reminder of turbulence in your lives today, if you want, is a little barf bag. That's what they give out to people. And I'm scared of flying. I've flown more in the last 3 years of my life than I have in my entire life previous to that. My mother would always say to me, "Why are you afraid of flying? You're a person of faith. You should want to die." Not like that. Not at this particular point in time either. So I got these barf bags, and it was interesting. In my flight out here, I noticed it says, "Do not place in the seat back pocket after use." And so I asked the stewardess, I said, "Does that ever happen?" And one of them said, "Yes, it's disgusting. It's absolutely terrible." And the other one, Chantel, she said, "Well, that's why I never reach in there." So we've got that turbulence. Let me tell you, it can be very unsettling, nerve-wracking. At Cusp 2014, let's address it. Let's confront it. But then let's get some ideas to move beyond it. Now, I'll tell you right now, there's a whole bunch of turbulence in my life. Let me tell you. So I'm in Yuma, Arizona, and as you know, CEO of the Yuma Community Food Bank. And right now we're in a situation where Arizona's been rated the third worst state in the nation for child food insecurity. 28.2% of the kids who live in Arizona, 1 out of 4, don't know where their next meal's coming from. 40% in Yuma County. That's 4 out of 10. 24.3% of the residents are identified as food insecure in Yuma, Arizona. The cooler just went out. It's going to cost me 10 grand. The roof has leaks. We got hit by a monsoon. $60,000 worth of damage, and only $30,000 covered. $14,000 I got to spend on a new forklift. Trust me, there's a lot of turbulence in Yuma, Arizona. Unemployment rate in July was 29.2%. Down to 28% in August, and in September we're down to 25.9%. 11 restaurants have closed this summer. The downtown cinema closed this summer. United Airlines has just made a decision not to fly out of Yuma after December 1st. Turbulence. So how do I get from turbulence to triumph in a situation like that? And one of the techniques I've used is stories. Tell the stories of the people who come to the food bank. We don't have a clue as to what goes on in the lives of others. Here's one came in on October 2nd. On the outside, my 4 boys look happy, always smiling and playing, full of joy and cheer. But what no one knows is that at night they cry themselves to sleep. Their stomachs ache with so much hunger that I cry myself to sleep as well. Thanks to the food bank, my boys have something in their stomachs at night. The food bank is a blessing sent to help my kids sleep. Thank you. Here's one that came in on September 6th. Written, as you can tell, by a child. Thank you. Thank you for the food you gave us. If the food bank wasn't ever created, we'd be starving to death, begging for food. My mom is single, so we don't have any food. Please support my family. And the last one, on August 11th, you can open the container at any time. All of them even. Oatmeal, mashed potatoes, the pantry always full. What outsiders didn't know, they were always empty. We kept all the empty containers to make it look like we had food. We didn't. Thanks to this food bank, we never have to suffer through these circumstances again. You make us feel safe, protected, and most of all, with hope. Tell your story at Cusp 2014 to help you move from turbulence to triumph. Give yourselves the opportunity to be inspired at Cusp 2014, to do something about the turbulence in your lives. One of the approaches I've used is to hit the kids, go to the high schools, and motivate them. I once had a freshman in high school as a counselor come up to me and said, you know what, I don't like Christmas. And I said, really, how come? Well, because when I was in grammar school, everybody gave me gifts. Now that I'm in high school, I got to give gifts to others. Hello, Ethel. We live in such a self-absorbed society. We're not mutual. How many times have we had conversations where we ask people, hey, how you doing? What's going on in your life? And we talk, and we ask them, and we inquire, and they share, and then the conversation's over, and they never even asked us how we're doing in our lives. Don't let that happen at Cusp 2014. Be mutual. Listen to others. One of the worst things that I think has happened to our self-absorbed society and has made us very turbulent is selfies. That's right, selfies. And I tell the kids this. I said, that's terrible. And sure enough, I've got a letter here from my two saying that 5.5 billion people have smartphones, and 74.6% have participated in the World Selfie Championship. So now we're hoping that the International Olympic Committee will make it an Olympic sport. It was an ad in the New York Times on September 23rd. So what I'm asking you to do to help you focus on the others, don't take any more selfies from this day forward at Cusp 2014. To help you go through turbulence to triumph, take unselfies to remind yourself to think of the others. Sometimes turbulence can be pervasive like that, or sometimes it can be very unexpected. That's right, if you're in the rows below me, you're going to have to turn around and get uncomfortable. And that's what turbulence does to us. It makes us uncomfortable, and it just so happens I've got a seat here that I can put this stuff down on. By the way, for those of you who want a reminder of motivating yourself, take a glove, because we need it in these days of Ebola. You know, I flew through Dallas, and somebody asked me, when you go through that airport, don't worry, I didn't do it yesterday, okay, a couple of weeks ago, and here's a barf bag that I brought too, to remind you, share with others, remind you to have the energy and the inspiration at Cusp 2014 to get through the turbulence. You know, I went through Dallas, and a person actually asked me, did you wear a mask through the airport? I said, are you crazy? Unbelievable, but sometimes turbulence can be unexpected. In February of this year, I went to a conference in Scottsdale, and the first speaker was General Mukuyama. And he was talking about a ministry that he had, military-friendly churches for veterans. 22 a day commit suicide. So I went up to him, and I said, General, we need you in Yuma. I said, we got 5,000, the Marine Corps Air Station, 5,000 veterans, military, we really need you there. And he said, sure, I'd be happy to come, Mike. That'd be great. I said, great, come on down. He said, now, where are you from? And I said, I'm from Chicago. He says, oh, I'm from Chicago. I said, great, General, where from? He said, Schurz High School, North Side. I said, General, excuse me, no offense, but the conversation is over. No, Mike, I'm a Sox fan. And I said, all right, then we can talk. Well, it turns out he said he couldn't get into Catholic churches, and he couldn't get into the black community. It happened to rain that day. We went ahead, and we got him into 5 churches in the black community and 5 Catholic churches. In the afternoon, it rained, and we couldn't play golf. I was on the phone with him for the next week. And then on Friday, March 7th at 8:30, I had turbulence at the food bank. And I had to deal with that. And at 8:35, I got a phone call from my sister telling me that her husband had just killed himself in the backyard of our home, where she and my 89-year-old mother live. And now I'm experienced in crisis intervention. I've spent my life in this type of work. And what was my response? Wow, that's terrible. I'll get there Sunday night. Give me a break. Needless to say, I was there Friday night, okay? But sometimes that's our experience. And I asked my sister if I could share this bit. And she says, yes, because I think that it might help others. It's the 10th leading cause of death in this country. My brother-in-law was in a submarine for 22 years in the Navy. And amongst 15 to 34 years old, it's the 2nd leading cause of death. We don't confront it. We for some reason, we just think it'll go away and haven't been serious about trying to prevent it. So anyway, we're going all right. Why? Because they're honest. They talked about it at the funeral, at the service. As a minister, I remember the first time I asked people, let me share that this person died of AIDS. Let me share that they died of alcoholism or substance abuse. It's not something that they was a bad person, but they had a bad disease. Confronted, everybody knows about it, and they did. Second thing that's helping them get to triumph is support systems. You've got that here. There's incredible human beings that are going to be at Cusp. So reach out to them. And the last thing is to bounce back, and that's something that's very, very important to do. Turbulence is violent. Turbulence is warlike, and it's something that hits all of us. Sometimes turbulence, we just don't want to talk about it. And I'm about to talk about one, encouraged by my wife. I got her permission to please do this. Menopause. That's right. We don't talk about it. She said, Mike, talk about it. People don't talk about it. It's a disease. She's a family medicine doc and has her master's in public health. And I'm looking at a doc in the feminine world, and she's smiling because she sees the same thing. My wife used to say, I wish I was a man. I wish I was a man, till menopause happened. And why did that make her not want to be a man? Because she didn't want to have to be a man and deal with women and menopause. We don't have a clue, man. We don't think about it. All the men here think for 1 minute how it would be if you bled once a month, okay? All right, my wife took sage. Everything was great. Then she started bleeding again. So this last, on our way to triumph, we had to have tranquility. So we're having a little separation. She's living in Scottsdale. I'm living in Yuma. It's a challenge. Well, I said, you know what, honey? You pick the restaurant you want to go to. This was last Friday night. For whatever you want, romantic restaurants. We went to Quiescence in Phoenix. Highly recommend. Dustin Cristofalo, farm-to-table restaurant. Part of it, we walked through the farm and saw where the food was grown. It brought tranquility to us. Probably the best meal we had together in 12 years of marriage. And it helped us to work harder towards getting to triumph in this whole issue of turbulence. So do that. Get some tranquility here, but also get some peace, but also use the individuals here to go ahead and get to the whole triumph situation. Get out of our comfort zones. Listen to one another. Encourage one another. Engage one another. Inspire one another. Look at Malala Yousafzai. That was expected turbulence and dangerous turbulence, and she got shot. And yet she's gone on to win the Nobel Peace Prize and is continuing to be a candidate and has not let that turbulence in her life. Here, I got plenty of gloves here. Throw them around, okay? I got lots of barf bags, too. Let it remind you, turbulence, you can't avoid it. We want to hide from it. Oh, I don't want to get turbulent. Oh, I don't want to get nasty and sick and have barf all over me. Well, you know what? Get over it and do something about it at Cusp 2014. A book that is incredible that I highly recommend. Howard G. Buffett's 40 Chances. In the life of a farmer, there's probably 40 seasons, age 20 to 60. I had the fortune to sit with him underneath a tree for 45 minutes on the border of the United States in San Luis, Mexico, the day before he was leaving for the Congo. Are you crazy? He had to get special permission from the State Department to go there. But he confronted that turbulence, and this book is full of those stories that he did. He went to Sierra Leone. Young man, 6 years old, was taught how to use a gun. And now, out of that experience, he overcame his fear of that particular turbulence and went on to go ahead and now fund schools for individuals in that particular situation to help them become farmers. That's what Cusp 2014 is all about. For us moving beyond turbulence into triumph. You can't tell me that there aren't individuals in this room who have the opportunity to take turbulence and turn it into triumph. I already know that I'm looking for certain individuals. I'm going to be looking for Ann Gibbon because she did an ag project in Salinas. Salinas is the sister city to Yuma. 90% of the world's winter lettuce is grown in Yuma, Arizona. I'm going to be looking for JT Nesbitt, who's from New Orleans. I just came 2 weeks ago from the Feeding America conference there in New Orleans, and it's recovered. I was there 5 weeks after Katrina. Talk about a turbulent situation. It looks good, but I went to some of the neighborhoods, and some of those neighborhoods are exactly they were after the Katrina, 5 weeks. I'm going to look for Tricia Prabhu of Rethink. She's younger than Malala. We have to raise up. She's 14 years old, and she's going to be a Cusp presenter. And it's awesome. She's helped to rethink the world. I'm going to look for Mike Score, who's doing agricultural development in Detroit. And I'm going to talk to Dr. Kim Blair if he has any influence on the International Olympic Committee to make sure he doesn't let smartphone picture-taking selfies become an Olympic sport. But this is our opportunity here at Cusp in 2014 to confront and address and acknowledge and recognize the turbulence, whether it's individual, whether it's job-related, or whether it's family-related, or whether it's community-related. Look at ISIS. Look at Ebola. Look at Ferguson. Look at all of the situations in the world. There's plenty of turbulence that can use our help. Take advantage of that right now. Take advantage of that at Cusp 2014. What a better tribute to each and every one of us to be able to say at Cusp 2014, I did something about the turbulence that I saw and turned it with my creative juices inspirationally, energetically, enthusiastically into triumph. Thank you very much.